Today, I'm in the kitchen with my mom, and we are making Yebrat. These are also called dolmas, I think, if you go to the Greek restaurants. They're the little rolled grape leaf things. And my mom is Lebanese, so the Lebanese and Syrians call them Yebrat. But it's the same thing. It's meat and rice rolled up in a grape leaf. And we were out scavenging the other day for leaves and things for the eco prints, and we ran across a wild grapevine. And that's kind of anytime Mom runs across any kind of grapevine out in nature, she just immediately strips it bare of the leaves. And this is because most restaurants where you get these things, they use leaves that have been preserved. They're in a jar. And they taste, pickled, because they are pickled. And it just is a totally different flavor than using fresh leaves. So we had access to fresh grape leaves, so we are making Yebrat.
They pack them in brine salt.
Yeah, the ones that you buy in the jar have a brine on them to preserve them, and you can taste it. If you get them in the restaurant, they taste kind of briny. We don't like that. Some Yebrat or dolmas are served cold. Ours are always served warm. And the filling Mom's working on right now is ground beef. This was a package, about 2 1/4 pounds of just good ground beef. And then you'll need some long grain rice to put in it.
Parboiled.
Parboiled? Oh, you need enriched parboiled long grain rice. Ours is Zatarain's. Let me show that right quick.
Usually use Uncle Ben's, but whatever.
Okay, Uncle Ben's, or this is what we have. Enriched parboiled long grain rice.
Any brand.
Any brand. And are we going to use that whole bag?
No, you use a cup of meat to a cup of rice.
1 cup of meat to 1 cup of rice. And I think traditionally this was probably made with ground lamb, but yeah, we don't go there. Ground beef is just fine. And you're going to need kind of a stock pot, and the size you're going to need and the amount of stuff you need is just going to depend on the number of Yebrat that you end up making. We ended up with about 130 grape leaves, and they need to be about the size of the palm of your hand. So this is just like perfect. A little smaller is good, but probably no smaller than this, than your palm, and this is like a whole hand. And they need to be young and tender. Towards the end of the season, after the vines have made grapes, they'll still have leaves on them, but by then they're tough. They'll be dark green and tough, and they just don't make good Yebrat. So these are perfect. The vines that we saw had itty bitty tiny grapes just starting to come out, but you really couldn't even tell they were grapes yet. So these leaves are really young and fresh. Okay, Mama, how many cups of meat did you end up with?
About 3 or 4.
So 3 or 4 cups of meat to 3 or 4 cups of rice.
This is the same mixture you use to stuff squash, eggplants, and bell peppers.
And those are called kusa.
Button gin, kusa, and bell pepper.
Eggplant is button gin, and then the yellow squash is kusa, and bell pepper is just a bell pepper.
And also zucchini.
And zucchini. You can stuff zucchini with these. And this mixture, it's pretty basic. Rice, meat. Do you add salt and pepper?
Salt, pepper, and cinnamon.
Salt, pepper, and cinnamon, which might seem a little bit weird. When you taste it, it doesn't taste sweet or cinnamony. It's just like the cinnamon just enhances the flavor. And that's the Middle Eastern part of it. You wouldn't normally find a lot of meats cooked with cinnamon.
We cook cinnamon in nearly all our food.
And these will go in the pot with some pork ribs. Is that right, Mom?
Yeah.
Pork ribs.
Or you can use chicken.
Or chicken.
But I don't care for chicken.
Okay, so we've got a package of pork ribs to throw in the pot for flavor. Did you know how much you add, Mom? Is there like a ratio, or do you just add?
I'm going to put a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons, and then that pinch that was in there.
Forget the pinch.
Forget the pinch? Okay. So let's say for what we're using, the 2 1/4 pounds of beef, 3 cups of rice, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and a tablespoon of pepper. I'm throwing her all off now because normally she would not be measuring. But I was trying to tell her, we need to give measurements so people will know.
Tablespoon of salt.
Tablespoon of salt.
Turn on the hot water.
Turn on the hot water.
I'm going to put water in this so I can mix it easy.
Okay, so how much water? Like a 1/4 cup or?
Probably at least a 1/2 cup.
A 1/2 cup, about a 1/2 cup of water, hot water. And wear gloves if you don't like the meat squishing all over your hands. So it should look, it should be kind of like meatloaf maybe?
Exactly.
Okay, there we go. There's your point of reference. So it's kind of holds together like meatloaf. Okay, now when I watched my Siti make these, Siti is my grandmother, and when I was a kid, I mean, like, I was okay with the whole process until it got down to here, and she would get a little pinch and taste it to make sure it was right. And oh my God, Mother, it just makes me ill. So is it right?
No.
No? This is why I would never make this, because I can't taste it to make sure it's right. I'll put this recipe down in the video description because, you know, we're going to be tweaking until we get done. We're tasting and we're smelling. Don't ask me what we're tasting and smelling for.
We're smelling for cinnamon.
Do we smell it?
Yeah.
Okay. And,
I think I'm happy.
are you happy? Mm-hmm. Oh, thank God. Now comes the fun part.
Some people roll on a board. I was taught by my Siti to roll in my hand.
Roll in your hand. This is the part where the kids were allowed in the kitchen.
No.
Because I helped Siti roll.
I wasn't when I was growing up.
Put your hand
when
over
I got grown, I was.
Can you put your hand out a little bit just to show? Okay, so you put just a little pinch, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon in a leaf that's the size of your hand.
I think maybe too much.
Don't
Because you have to allow for the rice to swell. And then you fold over the ends. Then you fold over the right side. Fold over the left side. And then you roll it.
Wait, your right side came unfolded. There you go.
And you roll it.
And there you have it. And Jason calls them little cigars.
And then you lay it in your pot.
And this is just not a huge, like a soup pot. These are the kind of ribs. These are just...
I like short ribs, country style ribs. It's got meat on them.
Lots of meat. I think these are boneless.
I like boneless.
You just need good meaty ribs. Are you going to use all these?
I'm using this big pot, even though I don't have that many grape leaves, because I want to cook all the ribs.
Okay. You eat the ribs?
That's the best part.
I picked around them. I never ate the
no,
ribs.
You have to eat
I
the
thought
ribs.
they were just for flavor.
No, they're to eat.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Have at it. They're all yours.
fold the left side. This is why y'all can do whatever makes you comfortable. If you want to use a cutting board, lay your leaf on the cutting board. I have aunts, which would be Shannon's great aunts, who use cutting boards because they could never do it in their hands. But my grandmother, which was my aunt's mother, said they could never do it, and it would make my grandmother so upset because her daughters had to use a cutting board. And they're full-blood Lebanese, and I'm only half. And you go around, I make a circle in my pot.
Pull the pot over and show them. Make a circle, and then do you
That's
fill
the
in?
bottom circle. Yeah, fill it in. Be sure and put your points down.
Points down.
Yes, it'll stay rolled.
Oh.
And that point just got to go down.
Okay, points down, people.
See, they're coming unrolled if the point's not down. That point is up. What is it coming undone?
Well, how do you know I rolled that one?
Because the points are up.
Mine are all the wrong ones. I probably forgot to mention that your leaves, if you pick fresh ones, okay, Mom said best way to do it is not even wash them. You know, if they're fresh and they're clean, don't even wash your leaves.
If you don't see any ants
You don't
or
see any bugs.
And you know they haven't been sprayed. If they've been sprayed, don't even use them.
Yeah. But if they've got some ants and stuff crawling on them, then wash them good. And
Just rinse them underwater.
yeah, don't wash them good. Just rinse them underwater.
Because you'll tear them up.
And pick the stem off.
Or cut mine.
Or cut them.
I'll lay them on a board and cut the stem.
Yeah, have a little bitty thing like that. Or just don't tear the leaf. Alright, we got our bottom layer of Yebrat. And then just about a quarter, maybe, of the pork ribs. Mom trimmed off the fat and just put them in about, 1.5, 2-inch chunks in there. And now do we just keep building layers?
Mm-hmm.
And is it a layer of Yebrat, a layer of pork rib?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we got to go a different direction. All the rows are different direction.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, we went in a circle on the bottom row.
Uh-huh.
Well, this one, see where I started it going upwards?
Oh, now we're going this way.
Right.
Instead of that way.
Right.
Okay. Okay, this one needs some Scotch tape.
I can pick out every one of yours.
What do you mean by that?
They're loose.
Okay. Roll tighter. Fine. They may be loose, but by gosh, I know better than to touch a cutting board for this. I'll be instantly disowned.
The first row, make it tight.
Okay.
The first row, make it tight.
And then the second
And then
one.
they'll be tight.
Okay. Makes sense. The first row, make it tight. So, like this. There.
First row, make it
Make
tight.
it tight. Oh man, this one I got like 3 rolled. That sucker is tight. Look at that little...
See, that's a perfect Yebrat.
Ah, nailed it.
I'm proud of these leaves.
Yeah, y'all, this is a real treat to find fresh, beautiful leaves like these.
Totally unexpected.
Yep.
Gift from God.
Yep, he knew we needed Yebrat. Now when you serve your Yebrat, I like mine with a lot of lemon juice on them. But you can serve them also with
Mine with plain yogurt.
Plain yogurt, like plain Greek yogurt, which my city called laban. It's the same thing, isn't it?
It is the same.
It's exactly the same thing.
Somebody marketed laban.
Yeah, they would go through all the trouble to make laban
From scratch.
from scratch.
But you had to have a starter. I used to make it when I was young. First got married, my city would give me a starter. And I would make my own laban because you couldn't buy yogurt back then. They didn't know such animal.
This was before yogurt.
That was before yogurt.
And there was the soft, runny laban, which is like, regular yogurt that we ate with this. And then the hard laban.
Yeah, I loved the hard laban.
Oh, you strain it through a cheesecloth and it makes it a hard kind of a paste consistency.
And you can spread it on bread and put it under the broiler, and we had laban toast.
I liked it on my fried eggs.
And we ate it on fried eggs.
Fried eggs and laban, and it's it's almost like sour cream. It's got a tartness.
Only better.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that would be good on fried eggs, but oh my gosh, it is. And it lived in a glass dish with a rubber lid, plastic,
Pyrex bowl.
Pyrex bowl with a airtight seal. You put your hard laban in there and
Cover it with olive oil.
yeah, olive oil on top. Oh, that just made me so happy to see that in the fridge, and it was always in my city's fridge.
These you really do not want to pick.
And 1 grain of rice.
But I cannot bear to throw it away, so I will try to roll it.
It's just so dang pretty.
My sister was always picking them things.
She picked the little ones.
Yes. Well, what am I supposed to do with that? Sometimes I couldn't roll it.
Did City have grapevines? Your city have grapevines in her yard?
The whole yard was covered all around.
That's where you got them?
Yeah.
Grow your own, people.
She had grapevines, quince tree where she made her quince jelly. She had pomegranates where she would have pomegranates, and when she made hashwa, she would put pomegranate seeds in her hashwa.
Oh, I bet that was good.
Very good.
Hashwa is a rice dressing. It's basically this, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically.
Basically. Ooh, but I bet that's good with the pomegranate. She's talking about her city, my great-grandmother, who also slaughtered goats in her backyard.
Yeah, we were not allowed to watch that though.
Yeah, so,
And she
old school.
Killed chickens back there too. We weren't allowed to watch that either. And we would have shish kebab when they slaughtered the lambs. We would have shish kebab. Oh, it's the best.
Lamb
And
kebabs.
Yeah, but one of the best parts of the lamb, which I won't mention, was a delicacy, and kids weren't allowed to have it, but my daddy always saw that I got a little piece of it.
So where did she get the goats and lambs to
He
kill?
bought it from the farmers.
He'd just go buy it from a farmer and...
Well, yeah, he'd call them and say he wanted one, or they'd write, the farmers raised all the animals, and he'd put his order in for a lamb or a cow. Or, we didn't slaughter cows, he bought them and had them taken to the butcher shop, but he slaughtered his own lambs. He didn't let them do it. That was unreal, sacrilege. You slaughtered your own lamb.
And, this is not like out in the country, because
No,
this was like in a subdivision, y'all. My great-grandmother slaughtering goats
It's in the city
in the
limits.
suburbs.
It's in the city limits. And then they would bring home wheat. We'd lay out the tarps in their big backyard and put the wheat out on the tarps in the sun, and everybody would grab a hold of all the big giant tarps and shoo them up in the air and let the shaft blow away.
Oh my God, just like in the Bible.
Just like in the Bible.
You separate the wheat from the chaff.
Right. We did that.
Y'all were practically biblical, even though you're Lebanese.
And we would
That's
have
funny.
our own wheat. And
And then did she grind it and
take it in and take the little balls of wheat and put it in big pots and boil it, and then have this syrup she made. It was kind of like a cereal. Well, it's hard to explain, but it's little round balls of wheat and a syrup. Oh, it was so good.
It was sweet,
Yeah,
like a hot cereal.
yeah. But oh, so good.
Huh.
I don't know. I wish I knew how to do that.
Did she do her own cracked wheat, like for tabbouleh?
Yes, she grind. She had a
grind
little
it?
house out in the backyard that had grinders and stuff. She made her own stuff.
In the suburbs in West Texas.
Of course, she had 27 grandchildren
And they all lived
in
like,
the same town.
yeah, in the same little town in West Texas. All her children and grandchildren, well, most of them anyway.
Yeah. She had 9 children. All but 2 lived in one town.
So you can imagine how interesting that was.
We were like the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
We were those people. My grandfather had a department store.
Were there any other families in that area that were
Yeah, there were-
ethnic, like
There were
y'all?
4 or 5 Lebanese families, but we were the biggest.
Were they related to y'all?
Everybody's related in a roundabout way.
That's kind of what I thought.
But they were like my grandfather's
Cousins.
second cousins or whatever.
Okay.
They all came from the old country over here. But most of them, we landed in Texas, and most of them landed in Oklahoma. Nobody landed in Arkansas.
My mama's mama is not
Yeah.
Lebanese.
No, she landed in Arkansas.
She was from Arkansas. It's just coincidental that me and Jason ended up here. But I tell you, for my grandmother being a white girl, that woman could cook her some Lebanese food now.
Oh yeah, but she learned from the best.
She did. Did you roll that tiny one?
Yeah,
You got it rolled?
I rolled it. I don't waste anything if I can help it.
So if you have your meat and rice mixture, if you have a lot left over,
I put it in baggy stuff, put it in the freezer, and put stuffing for squash is what I always label it.
okay, so you can just stick it in the freezer and use it to stuff your kusa.
Yep. Or more grape leaves, should you ever
More
get
grape
some. And you got your stuffing. If you ever get more grape leaves over there, you can make more.
Well, see, that'll be good, because I'm not going to be tasting that meat to see if it's seasoned right, but
No,
this is already seasoned right.
It's ready.
Okay. I can do that. And y'all also did cabbage leaves, too.
Cabbage rolls.
You can use the same stuffing for
You
cabbage.
see like cabbage rolls?
No, he won't touch a cabbage.
Well, then I don't
I think he swears he has some kind of PTSD from eating too much cabbage as a child.
God.
It's scarred him for life. How did your city and Jiddy end up in West Texas? I just can't.
Everybody went to Oklahoma City.
Okay, why did they go to Oklahoma City? How did they, they go to Ellis Island and then they went, oh,
They
let's
kept
go
on
to
coming
Podunk.
down- Well, they kept coming down this way. They weren't going to stay in the city.
They didn't, did they have a plan or a reason or?
They just kept coming this direction. And somebody came down this way. I don't know who.
Oh, it was one of those, somebody ended
Follow
up
the
here.
leader.
Okay. That makes sense.
They didn't nobody know where they was going.
I didn't mean Podunk in a bad way about Oklahoma City, you know.
Well, it is. And Judy went to Oklahoma City. Then he went to, like Uncle Fred was born somewhere in Oklahoma. And I think Uncle Jim, Uncle Frank, somebody, I think they were all, Daddy was born in Caddo, Texas, but I think the rest were born in Oklahoma. And Jiddy went to Oklahoma and he said,
You didn't like
there were
it?
too many of them, and he went all the Holmeses and the Sades and the, I think the Shaddids ended up there, and he just didn't get along with them people.
So it wasn't Oklahoma City, it was the people that were there.
The ones that landed there.
The family that was there. Okay, that makes sense.
Aunt Nell's a Shaddid.
Yeah.
And the people that were there, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
And so he just got in his hoopy or whatever the devil he was in. He just started driving across the border until he got to Texas. He went on down South Texas, and Daddy was born down South Texas. Didn't like the weather down there. So he started back up north and ended up in West Texas, and that's where he landed.
Okay.
We went to Fort Worth. Stayed there a long time.
I didn't know that.
Then he came to Wichita and met Eddie Cadane. Eddie Cadane, they were out in Camay and told Jiddy, he said, they've got some stuff here. They got some stuff called oil. He said, let's go get some of this land and let's try this oil stuff. And Jiddy said, I got too many mouths to feed. I can't spend money like that.
Oh, that was a bad.
That was his worst mistake.
That was a bad mistake.
So Jiddy left that part of the country and kept on down to Seymour. Went to Seymour and stayed. Cadane stayed in Cadane, which is now Cadane. And Jiddy opened up a store in Seymour and then went on down to Sweetwater. It was a journey. He had a journey. He had too many mouths to feed. Had to find somewhere to go.
And he was pretty young, right?
He came over here when he was 16. He was 16 when he landed at Ellis Island.
Were all of the babies born in the States, or did they
Every
bring?
one of them.
They were all born in the States.
Yeah. They were all American citizens. Cindy came through Mexico.
Oh, she didn't come through Ellis Island?
No, just Jiddy.
Were they already married, or how did they hook up?
I'm not sure about that story. I think they must have married here.
Because she was young too when she got here.
14, 13, I don't know.
Okay, so here's our pot full of Yebrat. We started out, with them around the edge, and then the next layer, they go this way, and then the next layer the other way. Put some of the pork ribs. We use that whole package of pork ribs, trim the fat off. A little salt and pepper here and there. And now we need a plate. And for us, this is just a salad plate. And then
Turn it
you
upside down.
turn it like this
Yes.
and do this.
Put your water.
And then your water is the plate just to keep them from floating to the top.
Yes, and start mashing it down.
So bring it to a boil, and then do we turn it down to simmer, or do we boil it?
I'll turn it down to this is electric stove, I'll turn it down to 3
Okay, so
with the basic simmer.
bring it to a boil, turn it down to about medium low, and do we cover it?
Well, after it starts boiling.
So probably when we turn it down to a simmer, then you'll cover it. And how long will that need
About
to?
3 hours.
About 3 hours. Okay. So we will do that and come back when these little guys are done. Our yebrats are done. Once the top layer is done, the meat, the rice, the pork, you're done. The water's pretty much cooked out. There may still be a little in the bottom. You don't have to cook it completely out. Just drain it and then put these in a thing and serve them up. So they cooked for about 3 hours. About 3 hours is all it took. So that's all it takes, just all day, and the off chance you can find some fresh grape leaves. Hope y'all will give this a try, or just consider yourself slightly more cultured now. The end.